Messiah's return, rescue from Edom, and the march to Jerusalem. In part 3, the crisis reached its peak. Jerusalem is attacked, half its people taken into exile. Yahweh stepping personally into the battle. The Mount of Olives split open by his feet. The greatest earthquake in human history reshaping the earth. Every island gone, every ancient mountain shattered. The remaining population of Jerusalem fleeing eastward through the newly formed valley towards a place called Exile. And then Mystery Babylon, the city that sat over the kings of the earth, consumed by fire in a single hour, destroyed by the very allies who built her. We closed part 3 with a question hanging in the air. Why would the evil ruler and his allies who supported Mystery Babylon suddenly turn and destroy it with such violence? Part 4 answers that question. Part 4 also introduces the most dramatic sequence in all of prophetic scripture, the Messiah's personal return. Not yet to Jerusalem. He arrives first in the south, in the regions of Edom, fighting alone. He rescues the believing remnant. He gathers his heavenly army. He marches toward Jerusalem under a sky unlike anything the world has ever seen. 4 events: the rescue at Bozrah, the gathering of the army, the answer to the Mystery Babylon question, and the unique day that accompanies the entire march. The believing remnant is rescued. In part 3, we watched the population of Israel flee eastward through the valley of God's mountain, towards Exile. That fleeing remnant, the believing ones who call out to their Messiah, are not left to defend for themselves in the wilderness. They are gathered. Micah sees this moment in Micah 2:12 and 13. I will surely assemble all of you, Jacob. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together like sheep in the fold, like a flock in the midst of its pasture. They will be noisy with men. The breaker goes up before them. They break out, pass through the gate, and go out by it. So their king goes on before them, and Yahweh at their head. The breaker, the one who forces open the way, goes up before them, their king at their head. This is not a slow gathering over decades. This is a decisive, urgent assembly of remnant being led out by the king himself. Now, where are they being led from? Isaiah 63 tells us, and what it describes is one of the most striking passages in all of Scripture. Isaiah 63, 1-5. Who is this that comes from Edom, with garments of glowing colors from Bozrah? This one who is majestic in his clothing, marching in the greatness of his power. It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is your clothing red, and your garments like the one who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the wine trough alone, and from the peoples there was no man with me. I also trod them in my anger, and trampled them in my wrath, and their lifeblood is sprinkled on my garments, and I stained all my clothes. For the day of vengeance was in my heart, and my year of redemption has come. I looked, and there was no help, and I was astonished, and there was no one to uphold. So my own arm brought salvation to me, and my wrath upheld me. This passage demands careful attention because it establishes a sequence that most prophetic teaching overlooks entirely. The question is asked, who is this coming from Edom, from Bozrah, with garments already stained red? The answer comes in his own words. It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. The garments are red because he has already been fighting. He trod the wine trough alone. From the peoples there was no man with him. He looked for someone to help and found no one. So his own arm brought salvation. The region of Edom and the city of Bozrah lie to the east of Jerusalem, beyond the Dead Sea. This is where the remnant has fled. This is where Jesus fights, alone, without his army, by the power of his own arm, to rescue them. The battle at Bozrah precedes the march to Jerusalem. He is already stained with the blood of battle before he ever arrives at the city. This is why Revelation 19:13 says he is clothed with a garment already dipped in the blood when he comes on the white horse. It is not symbolic. It is the blood of the enemies he fought at Bozrah before his heavenly army even assembled. Isaiah 63 and Revelation 19 are describing the same person at different points in the same campaign. Jesus gathers his heavenly army with him. Having fought alone at Bozrah and rescued the remnant, Jesus does not continue to Jerusalem alone. His heavenly army assembles and joins him. Moses saw this coming centuries before it occurs. Deuteronomy 33 verse 2. Yahweh came from Sinai, and he dawned on them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came from the midst of 10,000 holy ones. At his right hand there was flashing lightning for them. When has Yahweh come from Sinai with 10,000 holy ones? It has never happened in recorded history. Moses is describing something future. The geographic references are precise. Sinai, Seir, Mount Paran, all in the same region, southeast of Jerusalem, in the area of the Arabian Peninsula. This is the staging point for the army of God. Zechariah confirms the army's arrival. Zechariah 14:5. Then Yahweh, my God, will come, and all the holy ones with him. We read the first part of Zechariah 14:5 in part 3, the people fleeing through the valley. This closing declaration of the same verse is the other side of that moment. As the remnant flees, Yahweh comes with all his holy ones. Habakkuk sees the same approach from the south and describes what it looks like. Habakkuk 3:3. God comes from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. His splendor covers the heavens, and the earth is full of his praise. And then in 3:4 and 5, his brightness is like the sunlight. He has rays flashing from his hand, and there is the hiding of his strength. Before him goes pestilence, and plague comes after him. Teman and Mount Paran, again the same southeastern region. His brightness like sunlight, rays flashing from his hand. Before him goes death. Behind him, burning devastation. This army does not travel quietly. Joel 2 gives the most detailed description of what this army looks like on the march. Chapter 2, verse 2 to 9. As the dawn is spread over the mountains, there is a numerous and mighty people. There has never been anything like it, nor will there be again after it, for the years from generation to generation. A fire consumes before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, but a desolate wilderness behind them, and nothing at all escapes them. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, and like war horses, so they run, with a noise as of chariots. They leap on the tops of the mountains, like the crackling of a flame of fire consumes the stubble. Like a mighty people arranged for battle, before them the peoples are writhing, all faces turn pale. They run like mighty men, they climb up the wall like men of war, and they each march in line, and they do not deviate from their paths. They do not crowd each other, they march everyone in his path. And when they fall against the defending weapons, they do not break ranks. They rush on the city, they run on the wall, they climb up into the houses, they enter through the windows like a thief. There has never been anything like it, and never will again. Fire before them, flame behind them, nothing escapes them. They do not break ranks. Joel then makes clear who commands this force. Joel 2, verse 11. But Yahweh gives forth his voice before his military force. Surely his camp is very numerous, for mighty is he who does his word. The day of Yahweh is indeed great and very awesome, and who can endure it? Yahweh gives his voice before this army. This is his military force. And the question is genuine. Who can endure it? The 144,000 are among those who stand with the Lamb. This is in Revelation 14, verse 1. Then I looked, and behold, the Lamb was standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his name and the name of his Father written on their foreheads. The bride has made herself ready. Revelation 19, 7-8. Let us rejoice and be glad and give glory to him, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. And it was given to her to clothe herself in fine linen, bright and clean, for the fine linen is the righteous acts of the saints. And then John sees the moment of the army's departure from heaven. Chapter 19, 11-16. Then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he who sits on it is called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he judges and wages war. His eyes are a flame of fire, and on his head are many diadems, having a name written on him which no one knows except himself. And being clothed with a garment dipped in blood, his name is also called the Word of God. And the armies which are in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, were following him on white horses. And from his mouth comes a sharp sword, so that with it he may strike down the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron, and he treads the winepress of the wrath of the rage of God, the Almighty. And he has on his garment and on his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. There it is again, the garment already dipped in blood. He has already been at Bozrah. He has already fought and rescued his remnant. Now he rides at the head of the armies of heaven toward Jerusalem. And Revelation 17:14 close this picture with a declaration of the outcome before the battle is even joined. These will wage war against the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, because he is the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And those who are with him are called and elect and faithful. Now, the answer to the question planted at the end of part 3. Teman, Mount Paran, and Mount Sinai are all in the same region, southeast of Jerusalem, in what is today northwestern Saudi Arabia. If Jesus and his army descend on Mount Sinai, they are touching down in the very heart of the area where NEOM is being built. Satan knows what this means. His time is almost finished, and he hurls every weapon at his disposal at that landing point. The evil ruler and his allies, who supported Mystery Babylon, who built it and benefited from it, are directed by demonic influence to attack and annihilate the area. The destruction of NEOM is not a political portrayal. It is a military strike against the arrival of God. They are trying to stop what cannot be stopped. But unfazed, the forces of God continue their march forward toward Jerusalem. It's a unique type of day. As this army marches northward toward Jerusalem, the entire sky undergoes a transformation unlike anything in human experience. Multiple prophets describe the same atmospheric phenomenon from different angles, and together they paint a coherent picture. Zechariah establishes the basic description. Zechariah 14:6 and 7. And it will be in that day that there will be no light. The luminaries will dwindle. And it will be a unique day, which is known to Yahweh, neither day nor night, but it will be at evening time there will be light. Not day, not night, something in between, a perpetual twilight. The sun and moon still exist, but their light is diminished. And yet at evening time there is light. Where does that light come from? Habakkuk gives us the answer in 3 verse 11. Sun and moon stood in their lofty places. They went away at the light of your arrows, at the brightness of your flashing spear. The sun and moon are outshone, not by any natural source, but by the weapons of God's army. The arrows of Jesus emit such radiance, the flashing of his spear is so brilliant, that the sun and moon retreat before it. This is the light at evening time that Zechariah describes. The entire illumination of that day comes from the divine army's advance. Joel describes the atmospheric darkness from the perspective of the earth below. Joel 2 verse 2. A day of darkness and thick darkness, a day of clouds and dense gloom. 2 verse 30 and 31. And I will put wonders in the sky and on the earth, blood, fire, and columns of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and awesome day of Yahweh comes. Joel 3:15. The sun and moon grow dark, and the stars lose brightness. Blood, fire, columns of smoke, the sun darkened, the moon blood red. This is also consistent with the worldwide devastation of the seventh bowl still unfolding. Cities burning, the earth reshaped, catastrophic fires across every nation. The sky above the battlefield is choked. And the fifth bowl had already prepared this darkness over the beast's own kingdom. Revelation 16:10. Then the fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became darkened, and they gnawed their tongues because of pain. The beast's kingdom already shrouded in darkness, and now into that darkness marches the army of God, blazing with the light of divine weapons. No sunlight, no moonlight, everywhere a perpetual twilight, except for the radiance coming from the advancing army of the King of Kings. This is a unique day. Zechariah says as much. Known to Yahweh alone. There has never been anything like it. There will never be anything like it again. The believing remnant returns. As Jesus and his army march toward Jerusalem, those who have been scattered, exiled to Egypt, to Assyria, to the nations surrounding Israel, They begin their return. The remnant is not only those who fled through the valley. The diaspora of the exile that began in point 6 is now being reversed. Micah sees this return from every direction. Micah 7:12 and 13. It will be a day when they will come to you from Assyria and the cities of Egypt, from Egypt even to the river, even from sea to sea and mountain to mountain. And the earth will become desolate because of her inhabitants, on account of the fruit of their deeds. From Assyria, from Egypt, from the river to the sea, from mountain to mountain, they are streaming back from every quarter of the earth to which they were scattered. And the contrast is stark. The earth around them is becoming desolate from God's judgment, but they are being gathered and brought home. This is the highway of Isaiah 11 foresaw, a road of return from Assyria, just as there once was a road of deliverance from Egypt at the Exodus. That pattern of rescue and return runs through all the prophets. What God did at the Red Sea, he will do again, on a global scale, at the day of Yahweh. Joel confirms that rescue and return are both anchored to the same name. Joel 2:32. And it will be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahweh will be delivered. For on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there will be those who escape, as Yahweh has said, even among the survivors whom Yahweh calls. Everyone who calls on the name of Yahweh will be delivered. Not some, everyone. On Mount Sinai and in Jerusalem there will be those who escape, the remnant preserved even in the city itself, and among the survivors those whom Yahweh calls. The rescue is complete. The remnant is gathered. The army is assembled. The march is underway. The unique day blazes across the sky. Part 4 has brought us from the flight of the remnant through the valley to the full assembly of heaven's forces on the march toward Jerusalem. Jesus fought alone at Bozrah, with no man with him, his own arm bringing salvation, his garments stained with the blood of the enemies of his people. Then the army of heaven joined him, descending from Sinai with 10,000 holy ones as Moses foresaw. The reason Mystery Babylon was destroyed became clear. Not betrayal, but a desperate and futile strike against the arrival of God. The remnant was rescued and is returning from every nation, and all of it is unfolding under a sky that has never been seen before. Neither day nor night, lit only by the light of divine weapons. Part 5 is the final movement. The assembled armies of the nations, still gathered at Jerusalem, will be destroyed. The spoil of their defeat will be seized. Egypt, Assyria, and Edom will each face their own specific judgments, and those judgments are described in remarkable geographic and national detail by the prophets. And then the outcome that all of it has been building toward: Jesus established as king over all the earth. The day of Yahweh has fully arrived. Part 5 shows us what it looks like when it is finished.